Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sumaya Hassan. Welcome to Aspire. Assalamu alaikum, everybody in the studio. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you here today as we talk about personal excellence and enhancing productivity. When we think about excellence, personal excellence, what is it about? Is it about having a big title? Is it about having a big house or a big car or prestige? Is that what it's about? When you're talking about achieving your own personal goals and enhancing your leadership, is it about these things? So perhaps the other way to ask this question is, what happens when you lose this? Assume you had a big title, or a big job, or a big house, a big car, and for whatever reason you lose them. Do you then lose your personal identity? Unfortunately, some people do, because you tie your personal identity with things. But we want to be people who are more focused on the inner talents, on the inner power, on our core on the inside, in terms of then looking at personal excellence. What is on the inside that we need to work on? These other things are tools that we should use to help us achieve a certain objective. But they are not, and they should never be, the main goal. They are merely a means to an end. The minute we make them an end, then we are in very dangerous territory. Yes? So we are told, be in this world like a boat on water. When the boat is on the water, it will float and it will move. The minute the water enters inside the boat, it will sink. So it is with this world and all these things. We need to use them to help us achieve our goal. But the minute we allow them to enter inside us, it is like that water in the boat. It will only sink us. So when we are talking about personal excellence, we are really looking about our inside. We are looking at how can we make ourselves more authentic. And this is really about being a better version of yourself. Being authentic is not about trying to be somebody else. That person is already there. You be you. But in the process of being you, we don't want to say, well, that's just how I am. I'm just lazy. I just have a temper. That's how. No, we are talking about being the best version of yourself. That requires us to be self-aware. What are those things that honestly you need to work on? Because your temper, your threshold is very short. Your fuse, what, you just blow it, or you can't control yourself around food, or you have, you can't wake up for Fajr, or whatever your issue is. We are looking at being the very best versions of ourselves in terms of achieving our personal excellence, really looking at the inside. One of the things that has been proven again and again and again, and it is a wonderful discovery, let me call it that way, is that other than for a few people whom Allah has given certain talents, the rest of genius is not about genes. It has nothing to do with genes. That, so-and-so is a genius. They were born like that. For a few number of people, yes, they are. Allah gave them extraordinary intellect, extraordinary ability in one way or the other. But for the majority of people, it's actually just about practice. It's about persistence and keeping at it. No matter what it is, keep at it. Excel because you are constantly working on it, not because you were born with it. Don't be one of those people, well, in our family, we don't have any genes for Excel. And as a result of that, you limit yourself even before you try. Remember also, one of the things on our journey to personal excellence, there are various landmines and obstacles we need to watch out for. And one of the ones we need to watch out for is the dominant values of the society we live in. Like what we were talking about during the break. The one that tells you, as a Muslim woman, you're not able to do this. As a Muslim man, you don't have capacity to do this. As a Kenyan, you can't do that. As an African, you are unable to do this. As you know, people brand us, or because you come from this region, you know, the people from that region, we know you. You don't have, so you generalize and paint people with a broad brush, and we absorb and accept that and limit our own personal excellence by picking up on the values of those around us. And one of these, you know, culturally, you look at some of the values in culture. Culture is extremely important, and we learn so much from it, and it really can be a launching pad to help us rise to great heights. But sometimes if you're not careful, it can hold you back. So you need to understand what are the values in the culture around you. One of them could be a culture that says, don't take risks. Because others who have tried to take risks have failed. Now, that doesn't mean that you should never be balanced in your approach to risk. You should always be balanced. And you should always take an approach that is informed. But if I give a specific example here, I'm talking about maybe you have decided you want to go and get a university education. Do you know how many people fail in university? What makes you think you'll make it? Like in your community, by the way, how many girls do you know in your community who've gone to university? You think you'll be the first one. How many people have failed trying to do this job that you want to do, Ramadan? You will, you know, people hold you back because the culture is don't try. Don't. Now you want to get into the shoe business. Do you know how many people have lost money doing? The idea is do your homework. Do your market survey, understand the risk, and then make your informed choice. But don't limit somebody even before they try by saying, no, no, no. Yes, they say that ships are very safe in the port, but that's not what ships are built for. You have to go out and discover that world out there. You have to discover new horizons. But you have to take risks which are calculated, which are informed, to enable you. Somebody wants to even limit your dreams. No, no, don't dream too big. You will only disappoint yourself. But you don't even set a vision for yourself. What are you hoping to achieve? You don't have a plan. You have a vision, and then you start working towards it, isn't it? So sometimes these are the cultures we pick up in the environment around us. One thing to also remember, if you look honestly at your life, the areas that are not working, many times this reflects the beliefs that you hold. And if you want to re-evaluate the life that you're leading, there are things you want to change in your life, re-look at your beliefs. What is it that honestly inside of you, you believe about this particular thing, so that then you look at, if you want to change the result, change the belief. We are told, innamal a'malu binniyat. Yes? Every action is upon its intention. What are you intending when you set something out? If honestly within you, then your intention, already you have convinced yourself that you're going to fail, then what is the point on the outside of pretending that you're actually planning to succeed? You know you've set yourself up internally to fail. But what was your plan? What was your intention when you set out to? Remember, we are told that you get rewarded for a good intention even if you don't succeed. And you get rewarded if you set out to do something bad and then you ended up not doing it. For not doing the bad thing, you're also rewarded. Can you imagine? That is the power of a good intention. So always have inside yourself a good intention to actually do something that is positive if you are very serious about wanting to have a positive impact on the results. Some of the things that we use that then end up being excuses to hold us back from achieving, from excelling. We want to excel. We said Aspire is about excelling, personal excellence, yes? In our quest for Jannah, may Allah unite all of us in Jannah, in a maqam better than this. Then we'll remind each other, inshallah. Remember that day on earth we were talking about being in Jannah? Allahumma ameen, inshallah. So some of the toxins that we use as obstacles to our own life. Number one is complaining. Always complaining. You have something to complain about every single thing that you see. Even things that have nothing to do with you, you'll find something to complain about. That is a big thing that holds you back. Criticizing. You'd be walking along a path going somewhere else. You say, now that one. Why is that one carrying that big box on his head? Is he really going to manage it? Is he going? Either you help them or you go on your way, isn't it? You're just going to sit there criticizing others. That one. Why is so-and-so wearing that? By the way, they don't even look nice in pink. Why they're wearing pink is beyond. You know, we are told min husn al-Muslim tarquhu ma la ya'nihi. Among the good qualities of a Muslim, leave that which doesn't concern you. So somebody has decided to wear pink. What is it to you? Criticizing, being negative, being constantly looking for the negative in something. Are you really expecting to have a positive result out of something? All you're putting into it is negativity. You can't. You must always relook at, you know, the things that you yourself are doing to hold yourself back. Gossiping. You want to spend all your time talking about other people. And sometimes you pretend that you're praising somebody. Actually, you're bringing them down, you know. Hey, so-and-so nowadays, she looks so nice in her wig. So by saying that, have you praised that person? Or have you actually brought them down to tell other people so-and-so wears a wig? And what is it to you? What business is it of yours? Yes? And finally, excuse making. Why didn't, oh, you know, this happened, that happened. I couldn't do it because, you know, so-and-so. You always have an excuse. You will never achieve the excellence you're looking for if you're constantly putting these obstacles in your own path. You don't want to take responsibility for anything. It is always somebody else. It is always something else. And yet within you, you have 4 power tools that you can use to change this situation. One of them are your thoughts. If you are constantly immersing yourself in positive thoughts, why does Allah paint such a vivid picture of Jannah for us? It is so vivid, you can almost see it, isn't it? You can see the rivers of milk, you can see the honey, the fruits, you can see the silk and the brocades and the gold and silver. You can see it because it's painted such a vivid picture. Why? Because when you have that vivid picture in your mind, you want to work towards it, isn't it? So fill yourself with the positive thought. Have that vision. This is what I want, and actually paint the picture in your own mind of what it is that you want to achieve. And then your feelings is another power tool that you have, that you are putting yourself in a positive state about this. Don't constantly bring yourself down. You're constantly feeling so negative about everything, and then you're surprised when you get a negative result. You actually are surprised. You thought with all those negative thoughts and all those negative feelings that your result will be positive. How does that work? The third power tool that you have are your words. That when you speak positively. Whether for yourself or for other people, speak positively. Even if it is something that is a negative situation, how can you talk positively about that? And the final power tool that we have is our actions. Are you sitting there just waiting for things to happen to you and for you? Or are you actively making a move to do something, whether in your own life, whether to support somebody? How are you part of? Maybe you have somebody in the house that needs to adopt a very strict diet. Assume it's for health reasons. They are supposed to cut out salt. And every day you, who is the cook, keep telling them, you know, you're taking too much salt, and the doctor said no, but you're not reducing the amount of salt in the food. So what are you asking them to do exactly? You know, you want them, how are you supporting by your deeds this person's journey to better health outcomes by them following their diet? So your thoughts, your feelings, your words, and your deeds. Remember, science is now telling us what we have been told all along, that the thought that you have, it's like you're sending something out into the world. It's like a path in the forest. You know, the more you walk on it, the more permanent it becomes. So what are you sending out? The scientists are telling us that the thoughts create neural pathways in your brain. And then and that you can therefore rewire your brain more positively by changing what it is that you're thinking. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu told us all those years ago. That's why I'm saying what we have always been told. Yes. Now we want to, oh yes, science. Okay, science is now discovering what Islam told us 1400 years ago. Sayyidina Ali Karamallahu wajha told us all those years ago, as water drops make a river, thoughts make character and faith. Those drops, when they come together, the water drops, eventually they make a river. And that is what makes your character and faith your thoughts, because it will influence your feelings, it will influence your words, it will influence your actions. If you therefore choose that I want, and remember I'm using the word choice very deliberately, that you choose, I want a positive outcome, you must start with your thoughts. Don't sit expecting positive outcome and yet your thoughts are negative. I think we've said this before, rubbish in, rubbish out. What are some of the things we can do? Deliberate actions we can take to help enhance our productivity as we seek personal excellence. Number one, we need to take a news fast. What does that mean? It means there's too much negative news out there. And you look for it on every channel you can find. So there's a bad story you read on your social media platform, you go to Facebook to read the same story. Then you go to Instagram to look at the photos. Then after that, you watch it on the news. Then you look for it in the newspaper. Then you share it with somebody. So in one day, sit and look at how much negative news you've consumed, and then look at how much positive news you've consumed. How much inspirational news have you looked at? Somebody who's doing something so amazing that has really inspired you, and you share that with somebody. Hey, I've learned something. Let me share that with you. As opposed to negative news. How much do you do that? And what you find then, you are in like 100 WhatsApp groups, isn't it? Those that people have put you in without asking you, those that you yourself, please send me the link to this group. And the speed with which this information moves around, pretty much, things go viral so fast, and on every group you go to, it's the same story, and you still read it, and you still forward it. Negativity all around, negativity all around. So ask yourself, how much of what you read last week do you remember? And it kept you very busy last week. How much do you remember? In fact, how much of what you read yesterday, all those hundreds of messages you read on one platform or the other, how many do you actually remember today? How many made an impact on you? And yet, how much time did you take reading them? So your ability to manage how much you need, what type of information you're getting, and how you're spending your time getting that. Remember, one of the questions we will be asked about is your life. How did you spend it? You spent it reading social media messages, really? And most of them negative. And sometimes you want to send somebody a greeting. You've remembered somebody, there's a lovely message, you've seen somewhere, I want to send it to you. Fine, I've sent it. Do I need to send you 20 messages on the same day just so that you feel greeted? Really? I've sent you one, then I saw another, oh, my Asa will like this, I sent her another. Then I saw another one in a different format, I sent. She opens and they all just stream it, like 20 messages, all from me telling her, my Asa, assalamu alaikum, I thought of you today. Really? 20 messages? I'm using up my credit and her credit, yes, data. I'm filling up her memory. Is it really necessary? So how much do you really need? And bear in mind, if you're one of those who is a serial poster like that, probably people have blocked you on their phones. Because really, they need to declutter their phones, and you don't want to be one of those people that is being blocked just because you're being regarded as, you know, you're almost being a pest at this point, isn't it? It's wonderful to remember each other, but, and now we have these bonuses on your airtime. If you speak for so much, you get so much free airtime. And what is that leading to? Gossip. Because now I know I have free airtime and I must use it within one day. I'll call Halima and just talk continuously, bearing in mind that for me to even get that free credit, I was already doing a lot of talking. But now I must talk to her. Why? Oh, but you know, my credit, my free bonus will expire today. So I have nothing of value to tell her. But I will call anyway, just to, really, we must be very particular on the value we place on our time in our path to personal excellence. The second thing to do, so this is really managing how much information must you receive on a daily basis. And then I see some people complaining, oh, so-and-so sent a very graphic video. Terrible, please send a warning before you send. That is true. I mean, number one, why are you circulating graphic videos anyway? Ask yourself that before you send. Number two, this is for the person sending. For you who is opening, why are you opening anyway? Must you open every single video that is sent to you? It has no caption. You have no idea what that video is, but because it's been sent, you must open? Why? And then you wonder why you don't have time to be productive. This is where your time is going. The second issue is, the second tool that we can use, the second thing we can do, once a week, deliberately look for somebody who is doing the type of things you aspire for. Somebody who is living that type of life that you aspire for. Look for that type of person, somebody who has those values, and just see, are you able to meet up with this person, even for a short period, just to talk and learn from them? How has their week been? What are some of the things that they have learned that they can share with you? What books are they reading at that point? You know, which, maybe they've been attending certain webcasts. So, you know, learn from this person who is doing the type of things that you admire or has those values. The third thing that I urge each one of us to do, including those of you watching us, take deliberately time, call this your leadership hour. Set aside a leadership hour that deliberately you work on perfecting whatever it is you're seeking to perfect. And research shows us any great athlete, any great artist practices. And they practice regularly, without fail, whether it rains, whether it shines, whether they feel like it, whether they don't feel like it, you practice. So if you want to excel at whatever it is that you're doing, you have to invest the time. Put aside 1 hour of your day and invest it in that thing. What is that thing you want to excel at? You have to work at it. So set aside that time and deliberately work on that. That's your power hour to work on your excellence. Excellence doesn't just come, oh yes, but you know, Sumaya told us to think positive. I did, but I also told you have to act. So set aside your power hour where every day you're seeking to perfect whatever it is you're looking for excellence in. And remember, those people who have excelled, go and read their stories. And one thing you'll find, whether it is technology companies, whatever it is, that despite failing, they still persist. If you listen to Steve Jobs when he used to talk about the successes Apple had, he would regularly talk about the failures. But despite the failures, you persist. If you're one of those people, every failure knocks you out. Oh, but you know, I tried last time, it didn't work, now I won't try again. Then don't expect personal excellence, because personal excellence, part of it is taking failure as a learning. What has this failure taught you? What have you learned so that the next time you're doing this, you can do it better? Take every failure and dissect it. What happened? What didn't happen? What did I learn? What could I have done better? What will I do next time? Keep it very objective. So the next time situation comes, last time I did this, that didn't work. I should have done this. I did this and that worked. So put all that together and see yourself excelling. Push yourself. If you're an athlete and you're trying to move to gain strength or to go faster. When you keep up with your power hour and you're learning from your mistakes and bringing this into perspective for every new training, then you see incrementally how you get better. Remember also, don't seek success for its own sake. Are you getting fulfilled with what you're doing? Because you could be doing something just to compete with somebody else. It gives you no fulfillment, you don't enjoy it, you don't like it, but you're only doing this because you're trying to compete. Why don't you do and excel at something that you actually like? How about that? Imagine excelling and succeeding at something that you actually enjoy doing. I challenge all of you here in the studio, and I challenge those of you at home. If you want to determine what is important to you, really important, look at two things. And please do this today. Look at your calendar and look at your wallet. Where are you spending your time and where are you spending your money? That will tell you the things that are important to you. You can say whatever it is that you want. But if your calendar is reflecting something else, and if your money, you're spending it somewhere else, that's the real gauge. If you want to determine what is important to me, look at your calendar and your wallet. And it's a very small exercise. You just do it in private. And when you've seen that, you know where you need to make your changes. Or because I've said this area is important to me, well, we don't see it reflected. You're not giving it time. You're not investing anything in it. Are you really expecting to achieve? Not likely. Remember also, when you see somebody who has been incredibly successful or who is incredibly successful, all you're seeing is the result. You're seeing the success. You don't see their pain. You don't see the tears. You don't see all the times that they have fallen and had to pick themselves up. And don't ever imagine that these people didn't fall or never had challenges. It's not true. Anybody who has succeeded has gone through a lot of pain on their road to success. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, how much pain did he go through? How many challenges, including people throwing, thorns and what have you along his way to enable him deliver to us what he delivered? You cannot expect anybody who has succeeded that it was a straight journey from zero to hero. There's been tremendous failure and pain, but you have to keep working at it. What they say is you can't microwave success. You just get it in a nice little pack, you bang it in your microwave and press 10 seconds and it's like popcorn. It doesn't work like that. And that, if it does, it's not sustainable. You have to work at it, despite the failures, despite the obstacles, despite the pressures coming to you. And Allah tells us that وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ. I will test you. أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا Allah tells us, do you really think that you will enter Jannah before we know, before we sieve you, before we test you? So you should expect that challenges are a part of the journey because Allah has told us they will be. So why should you be surprised when they come? We don't pray for them. Yes, we want to microwave ourselves to Jannah, absolutely. Just press that button, find us without any challenge. We would love that. But Allah has told us there will be challenges. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. That when they come your way, be patient. Yes? And keep at it. Persevere. Keep going. Remember also that knowledge, people say knowledge is power. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is that knowledge is potential power. It's like that electricity switch. There is light there, potentially, there is electricity, but only if you press the switch. Otherwise, it will not light itself up, isn't it? So your knowledge becomes power when you do something with it, not that it's just in there. We are told perhaps 40%, that's just a rough average, 40% of doctors are obese, medical doctors. Is that because they don't know the risk? Really, does anybody know the risk better than them? So what does that tell us? That unless you do something with your knowledge, only then will it become power. So I want us to look very quickly at certain things why people don't execute. Number one, your goal may be too big. Why don't you break it down into smaller bits? Tomorrow, you set yourself a goal. Tomorrow, I will get a job. Why don't you re-engineer that goal? Tomorrow, I will apply for a job. Because something you can't do. You've broken it down. You can go, you can look for job openings that suit your competencies and experience. You can apply. Then you can achieve that goal broken down. But you set yourself up, tomorrow I will get a job. And then you don't and you feel like a failure. But have you actually worked out your goal in a manner that is practical? So break it down. If you want to get into the habit of reading, oh yes, I'm reading a book this month. How about breaking that down? How many pages per day? I'll read 20 pages a day. That is something you can do because you break it down in a manner that you can track and that is actually possible for you to achieve. Rather than just you have this big book and you set yourself a target of reading it and yet you're not actually breaking it down in a manner that makes sense for you. Right now, because of the era we live in of technology, we want immediate success. Get over that. Success takes work. And work and work. And somebody said that if you look at every story of overnight success, you'll realize it took a long time. So as we wind down this segment of the show, I want to leave you with 4 thoughts. Number 1, people who are super achievers are extremely protective of their time. They do not allow non-value adding things into your time. You must be one of those people. Your time is precious. When that minute goes, you're not going to meet it again, not in this world anyway. Maybe when you're accounting for how you spent your time in the hereafter. Super achievers, those who have excelled, are so protective of their time. You must be one of those people. Do not allow time-wasting things to just take away into your time without you realizing it. Number 2, manage technology. Don't let it manage you. This is a tool to help you achieve your objectives. Don't now be enslaved that, oh my God, 4 hours later, I didn't realize I've been online all this time and you've done nothing of value. So you manage technology. Don't let it manage you, including when you see that you're getting challenged by that, set aside how much time per day you will actually allow yourselves online on non-work related things. Number 3, set aside a certain part of your day to do deep, concentrated work. Whether it's the 1 hour power hour, whether it's a 45 minutes, between 45 minutes to 1 hour, block it. This is the time, it is my productivity hour. I will sit, I will not allow interruptions, checking emails, checking phones, checking this. Leave all that aside and just work at whatever it is you're working at. Read whatever it is you're focusing on. And you'll find if you're able to do these, a few of this during the day, because the reality is from 8 to 5, you will not be productive every minute of for the entire day. But set aside, let's say 45-minute slots of power work throughout your day. You do this, then you take a break. Walk around, drink some water, get some fresh air, and then observe how much more productive you're becoming because you're breaking this down into slots. Rather than saying the entire day, I'll just be productive, that wouldn't work. And finally, in every week, to help you connect with your creativity and not just be a recipient, but also giving back to the world in terms of your own innovation, try and set aside 1 to 2 days per week, which are your creative days. Days that you just sit and think, do some tafakkur, reflect. Days that you can look, what else can you add into the field you're in? What new ideas, what new suggestions, different ways of doing something can you suggest that helps you to also contribute to the dialogue rather than just be a net recipient. At this point, we invite questions from our audience or comments on the topic that we've just been discussing.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I just had a question about how can somebody check their belief system to know if that is what is holding them back from achieving personal excellence?
Okay. Brother Umar Saleh asked us connection between success and the principles in Islam that we are taught about, qadar. What is the connection between that? One of the things that we are repeatedly encouraged to focus on in Islam is that Allah gave us a free will. And He gave us the ability to choose between right and between wrong. And indeed, when the prophets were sent, up to the last prophet, Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, they came to remind, this is what is right, this is what is wrong. And choices have consequences. The consequence of taking what is right is this. The consequence of going the opposite route is this. Now you have the choice which of those two paths you want to follow, and therefore which of those consequences essentially you're leading yourself to. That doesn't mean that Allah doesn't know which choice we are going to make or where that choice will lead us to. Remember, before we were created, everything about us has already been written, isn't it? Your entire amal, your rizq, your life, your death, every single detail is already there. So the people to whom this is a discovery, to whom it is unfolding, is us. Yes? Because we are the ones that have the hijab. We don't have the ilmul ghaib to know. So for us, it's all new, and we are actively working and making it happen. It is not new to Allah. It is all there. This will happen, and then that will happen, and then she'll do this. From there, then she'll realize, no, that was a mistake. Then, this is all there. But for us, the people actually doing it, the people making it happen, it is a result of us making our own choices on the options that are there before us. And remember also, we have been told that dua can actually change qadar. You can pray about something that had been, it is already there. I mean, even that is already there. But so that you're not in this state where you feel, but since it's already predetermined, what's the point? Why should I bother doing anything? No, you actually can change that through your dua. And fundamentally, the message is that we must be people of action. We must be people of action. It is not enough to believe. Allah tells us that specifically. It is not enough to believe. It is not enough to just say, in my heart, I have accepted. It's not enough to accept it in your heart. And we hear people saying this all the time, my hijab is in my heart, my deen is in my heart. So you don't want to do any of those actions that you are supposed to do as part of following this deen. And yet, this deen has its requirements. It has its procedures. It has its regulations. You choose to not follow those, and then you are surprised with a result happening that may be counter to the one that you wanted. So at the end of the day, underlying all this and what brother is talking about is that this is a religion of action. Everything, including when you look at the pillars of Islam, it's action, 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 action. Shahada, you have to start there. That is your belief in your heart. After that, pray, fast, yes? Go for Hajj. Everything is about you taking action. Everything is about you taking action. That is the type of philosophy that Islam is built on. And it is not just taking the first step of action and ending there. It is always going to the next level of excellence. So you fasted for Ramadan. After that, do we wait for another Ramadan? No. you're told it is also good for you to fast Monday and Thursday. It is also good for you to fast 3 white days. It is also, so you've given zakah once a year. After that, it is also good for you to do sadaqah. For those who can, go for Hajj at least once in your lifetime. After that, it is also good for you to do Umrah. We are constantly seeking excellence, because even Jannah is not just one Jannah, isn't it? It has levels. And all of us want to aim for the highest level. On the other side, hell also has levels. May Allah keep us far away even from the least level. But at the end of the day, this is a religion of action, and it is a religion of people who have to be informed. Allah tells us throughout, are they the same, those who know and those who don't know? So that we are able to make informed decisions that can then lead us to meet with Allah's rahmah. Remember, it is our actions meeting with Allah's rahmah that inshallah will grant us Jannah. It is not the actions themselves that are leading to Jannah. It is Allah's rahmah meeting with those actions. Okay. Mayasa asked us, how can we check our belief system to know if this is what is holding us back? So if we start from the 4 tools that we spoke about, when we said that the first is your thoughts, then it is your feelings, then it is your words, then it is your actions. To enable us know the belief system, look at all those. Start with the most obvious one, your actions. What do you do? What are some of the things that keep you busy? What are the things that you spend your time on? Are you extremely committed on certain things, but certain things you can barely get yourself energized to do unless you're really pushed, and even though you can't really be bothered? Are you one of those that is an amazing Muslim in Ramadan, but the rest of the time you struggle to even pray your salahs, all 5 salahs in one day? You know, what are the things that you actually do? And you have to be very critical and very honest with yourself in terms of your actions. And these are obvious things before we walk backwards. And then from your actions, now come to your words and look, how do I speak? Am I constantly putting people down? Am I constantly focusing? They say, the Arabs have a saying that the heart of man is under his tongue. What is your tongue always pronouncing? Because that's where your heart is. If every time you open your mouth, you're talking about money, every time, you're always looking for the newest fad in town to make money. Oh, I've heard, now people are making money out of, there was a time it was quails, isn't it? Everybody in Kenya wanted to do quails. Then before that, it was, soya, whatever it is. And I'm not saying business is bad, not at all. But we are saying, we are trying to understand our belief system. Look at your words. Every time you speak, you're constantly just talking about money. That tells you your belief system. What is it that you're so focused on? And then now from there, you're backtracking backwards to your feelings. What are the things that give you excitement and make you feel joy? What are the things that make you feel? So if somebody says something negative about you, it spoils your entire day. Is it that important to you to be seen by other people, to appear a certain way in front of other people? And is it just any person, or is it people who are actually meaningful to you, whose opinion matters? Or is it just anybody? So long as you have been liked, you're happy. So then you always out posting something or the other on some platform so that people can like you, to the extent that you will even fake it. Yes? And you hear people say, fake it till you make it. You fake a complete life and put it out there just so you can get liked. That's the type of life you set yourself up for. That tells tells you about your belief system. Yes? And then now we go back to the thoughts. So therefore, what is in your thoughts? What do you think about? What are the things that are constantly occupying your mind? What concerns you? Are you always concerned, how else can I get closer to my Lord? If what I'm doing here, will it be pleasing to Allah? How can I make it more pleasing? What can I add to something that I'm doing in my ordinary course of business to make it a sadaqah, to make it something that will add weight in my mizan with Allah? Can I put a good intention? So I'm a mother, I'm cooking for my family. Rather than just cook, can I have the niyyah that I, through this food that I'm cooking, I have the intention that my family gets the strength to do ibadah, to go out and study and get, proper knowledge, that your spouse is able to go and work and earn an honest living. How else can you keep adding to whatever else you're doing so that you constantly expand the value that you're getting and that it can draw you closer to Allah? Or is your thought process that you're always afraid that you're missing out? Nowadays, it even has a title. It's called FOMO, isn't it? You always have this fear of missing out. As I sit here, I wonder what's going on out there. I wonder what they're saying about me. Yeah? In fact, let me just check in case somebody has posted something, in case somebody is saying something. You're constantly thinking about being with, in a state where people are praising you or not wanting to miss out. Those four things, when you analyze them honestly, will tell you about your belief system. Because it's your thoughts, it's how you feel, it's the words, and eventually it's the action. The other way of doing that, because this is a self-test, if you have somebody who's close to you and can be honest, you can also ask them to just tell you in these same four ways, because this provides a structure. You may ask somebody who doesn't know how to answer that question, and they may really want to help, but they may just muddle it even further. But if you ask them within these four things, what are the type of things, I'm trying to understand myself. How do you see me behaving, acting in this particular way? What am I constantly talking? Listen to honest feedback from somebody who is close to you. If you have a friend like that or a family member who can be honest to you like that, that is very valuable, very value adding. But of course, if you do have that person or if you are that person to somebody else, be kind in how you're communicating, because you could be brutally honest and just destroy somebody in the process of trying to help them understand their belief system. We don't want that. We can still pass that message on while being very kind. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
I'm Zahra.
salam.
And my question, I was asking about, is it all success that comes from positivity? Or do you have to be on having positive, let me call it positive realization about life so that you can have success? Someone told me when I was studying that you have to risk for you to have that success. You have to pay that payment of risking so that you can succeed. Is it true?
Okay. Does success come only from positivity, or do you have to take risks? Yes? Exactly. So, if you're taking a risk, are you taking a risk with the anticipation that you will succeed? Or are you taking a risk with the anticipation that you will fail? Because a risk can go either way, isn't it? That's why it's called a risk. If I try this business, I may succeed, I may fail. But am I going into it with the intention of failing? No. I appreciate that could be an outcome. But my intention of going into it is to succeed. Otherwise, I will not take that risk. So already, even as I take the risk, my intention is to succeed, and therefore that is my outlook. But I am also alive to the reality that I may not. But I don't go into it with the intention of failing. So, do you need positivity? And does positivity mean you can't take risks? Not at all. And taking risks is part of life. It is part of life. But what we do, we take calculated risks and we take informed risks. You don't, if you see this is a car and you see this matatu clearly is looking like it's broken down, the brakes are not working, the driver is clearly drunk, and you say, well, life is a risk anyway, isn't it? I'll just get into it. Maybe I'll reach, maybe I won't reach. You know, is that a very, what would you say about that particular risk, you know, as you take in? Yes, if it has been written for you that you will be involved in an accident, even with the matatu that has all the brakes working and a very, you know, driver that is very sober, you can still get involved in an accident. But for your part, what have you done about managing your own risks? So taking the risk does not mean you cannot be positive. It just means that, yes, I am anticipating that this will work, but I am accepting that there is a possibility that it may not. But your outlook is always positive. Apart from positivity, how else can you make sure you're always able to motivate ourselves? One of the things to look at to help us motivate ourselves is to look at other successes that you have had. So maybe you're aiming to do a certain thing, and this is the goal you've set, and it's quite a big goal. Part of motivating yourself is to look at other goals that you have set before. And you say, oh, Alhamdulillah, I've set myself a goal that I want to obtain my master's. It's a big goal, but Alhamdulillah, I managed to get my first degree, isn't it? I worked at it, I saved for it, I did this, my parents assisted me, I got a scholarship, I applied to so-and-so, I did part-time work, whatever the case may be. Look at other successes that you have had to learn the lessons from that and see how can I use my success from that area to help me in this other area. Also look at other people who have been in your situation or a similar situation. How did they do it? If so-and-so managed to do it, I can also do it. One of the things we find when we are looking at women in leadership, we find when there is a woman leading or in a senior position in an organization, studies show it makes it much easier for other women to apply to that organization. They just feel if so-and-so has made it in there, I feel I can also do it. I feel encouraged to apply. I feel encouraged to try. So look at successes of other people similar to you, however similar is defined, whether it is age, whether it is background, whether it, you know, whatever that may be, and say so-and-so did it. How, you know, how did they do it? Can I learn how they did it? Can I look for them and reach out? And many times you'll find when you reach out to somebody, people will actually be happy to share their stories. Many times, not always. Some people would rather not, you know, but many times people will be happy to tell you, oh, guess what? This is what I did. And so learn from what other people have done. The other thing that I would encourage all of you to try, including those watching us at home, they say he who teaches others learns twice. He who teaches others learns twice. If this is a new area you're trying to go into, as you read and study about it, look for somebody that you can talk to and teach about, hey, guess what I've learned? I've been reading about this area, I've learned ABC. As you teach them, you are learning twice. The first time you learned is when you started reading. As you teach, it's even clarifying it to your own mind. So look for somebody else to share that with, that you can actually teach and see how that helps to motivate you. If I give you 1 shilling and you give me a shilling, each of us will only still have a shilling. But if I give you an idea and you give me an idea, each of us now has 2 ideas. So being able to sit with somebody who is like-minded and share, this is what I'm trying to do. and I share with you what I'm trying to do. In that process, we motivate each other, and you realize, oh, so-and-so is also trying to do this. So-and-so, you feel encouraged. So being with like-minded people is very important. Rasul Sallam told us, if you go to a perfume seller, they will either sell you some perfume or you'll come out smelling nice. But if you go to a blacksmith, they will either cover you in soot or burn your clothes. So the power of looking for people who are positive, who have something positive to share, whose attitude is positive, can help recharge your own positivity. Okay, any final question?
One more question.
Alaikum salam.
From the previous question, you said that Islam is all about applying yourself and putting yourself to the test. Now my question is it safe to say that success and failure is more mental than physical? Because before you even apply yourself, you either set yourself up for success or you set yourself up for failure, depending on the attitude. That if it's a business, the attitude that you get into the business, the mindset that you get into the business will determine whether or not you fail or you success. So my main question is it safe to say that success and failure in most cases is more mental than physical before it manifests itself physically? Thank you.
Thank you, Ramadan. And absolutely, the mental bit is critical. Your mental attitude is very, very key, is a key part on the journey to your success or your failure. You find pilots being told, take the flight before the flight. See the flight in your mind before you physically take the flight. Envision it before you get into the air. And so it is with a lot of things in life. Take the flight before the flight. In your head, see the success. Like the description of Jannah, paint the picture, see the detail. How does it look? What will success look like to you? Along the way, what is the journey you took to get to your success? What are some of the challenges that perhaps you faced and how did you deal with all this? You're taking this flight in your mind before the actual flight. So by the time you're coming to take the real flight, you're actually ready because your mind is mentally ready. You're alert, you have clarity of thought, you have clarity of vision, and sometimes you could have an opportunity. Maybe you have a brilliant idea. What you don't have perhaps are the financial resources. For whatever reason, you've ended up somewhere, you're in a lift, you've met somebody, some fabulously wealthy person, and somehow you ended up striking a conversation and you're telling them about this idea. Because of the clarity of your mind, of your vision on this idea, you're able to do your elevator pitch, in that lift. You can in a very short amount of time, express that idea in such a clear way that this person is like, you know what, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of your success. And yes, I will invest in it. But if you are still in your own mind very befuddled, I have this idea, but I'm still not very sure. I'm still trying to put things together. So you know how it is. You can't even express yourself clear. Do you really think this person will invest in you? No. You may not even meet them again because it didn't sound like you had anything worth engaging them on. And they say that luck is about your preparation meeting with opportunity. And somebody says, the more I prepare, the luckier I get. You need to prepare yourself for the success so that when an opportunity comes, you recognize this is an opportunity and this is my idea. You grab the opportunity and you make it work. But if you don't prepare yourself, even if that opportunity comes and sits here next to you, you don't recognize it because you're not ready. So you have to prepare, and the mental part of that preparation is very, very critical. By the time something, you're very quickly realizing this is the missing link that I need towards the success of this particular initiative, because in your mind, you have seen it, you have planned it, you have envisioned it, and the different parts of it, you're so clear on them. It doesn't mean you will know everything before you start. Things will always be dynamic and they will change, but even then you have enough clarity of vision to help you deal with any changes that happen. And I think that is actually a very good place for us to stop. That as we talk about personal excellence, as we talk about enhancing personal leadership and productivity, begin with the end in mind. Envision this picture of success in your mind, with your thoughts, then with your feelings, then with the words, and finally with the actions. And overriding all of that is that tawfiq comes from Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Viewers, I look forward to you joining us next time in another session of Aspire.
قلبك حيني